What's up, meat and motorcyclists? It is I, the Machalayo. Got a request for a pasta sauce recipe of my choosing. So let's see if we can bang out a simple, basic sauce recipe for this drive home. See a lot of red brake lights, so probably be able to do it. And I'm an Italian American. And the cross that we bear is we all feel like our sauce is the best sauce. Our family sauce is the best sauce. Or the grandma's sauce is the best sauce. My family has its own recipe. And it was all I knew about tomato sauce for a long time. And then traveling through Italy and working in a great Italian restaurant, and kind of learned that it was, you know, it worked. I still make it because it's a nostalgic sauce, but, you know, learning about your heritage, I learned that it was a real poor person's recipe, man. It was watered down, made from some real cheap cuts. So I've kind of tried to not change the recipe, because you don't want to change the family recipe, but I've made my own recipe that is a little, what I want to say, refined? I don't know, man. Here's what you're going to need. 2 of the larger cans of whole canned tomatoes, 24-ounce cans or 25-ounce cans, in the 20s, you know, the bigger ones. San Marzano are good. You're going to blend 1 can into a puree, and the other can you're going to smash the tomatoes with your hands. Alright, so you can put them in a bowl and then just kind of slowly smash them. Don't be too aggressive, or you're going to have tomato all over the place and yourself. You need 1 white onion, about 3 cloves of garlic, thinly sliced, about a tablespoon of sugar, half a tablespoon of crushed red peppers, crushed red chili flakes, whatever, salt and pepper, a bunch of fresh thyme, and a bunch of fresh oregano, and 1 pound of boneless pork shoulder, cubed into like 2-inch square-ish chunks. Okay, you'll need about a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, cup of dry red wine, whatever you're drinking. Chianti will work, Sangiovese will work, whatever you got. A pot, wooden spoon, and the pasta of your choosing. Very, very basic. So, and here we go. Get your meat you've cut, you know, into these chunks, not too small. Season it with salt and pepper liberally. Get the pot, put a little bit of the olive oil in, like a drizzle, tablespoon. And when the oil's nice and kind of hot, ripping hot, just kind of getting hot, put your meat in there. And you want to brown all the meat, good color on it, and there'll be a little bit of, you know, residual meaty goodness on the bottom of the pan. Get it all browned, and then when it's all brown, take it out, put it on a plate or something. Then put in your white onion that you diced, dump in the white onion, stir that around, and as it starts to soften up, it's going to release liquid, and that liquid's going to help you scrape up all the brown stuff on the bottom of the pot from the pork, kind of deglazing with the onions. You'll see this kind of repetitive trend in some of my other videos, okay? When the onions are translucent, push them all to one side and put in your sliced garlic on the other side, and drizzle a little bit more olive oil on top of those, and then sprinkle your chili flakes on top of the garlic, right? And keep an eye on them, and the moment that those garlic slices start to brown, then stir it all back together again. And one big mess of sauteed onions and garlic. Once you've done that, pour in your red wine, and let the red wine reduce until it looks like it's all been absorbed into the onions and the garlic. dump in your pureed tomatoes and dump in your tomatoes that you smash with your hands. Then take the cans and run enough water in them to get all the tomatoey parts off the side of the can, but not fill up the whole can. Fill up each can about halfway when you're doing this to get all the other tomatoey goodness off the can, and dump that in. And that'll keep it from reducing too fast. Put in your sugar, and then put your pork back in. Bring it to a boil, a light boil. And once it starts bubbling, drop it down to the lowest possible heat you can. Now, if you got a crappy stove like I do, some burners on low are still going to be kind of too hot. So if you got maybe even the smaller one, just put it on that one and put that one all the way down to low. What you're trying to do is slowly simmer the sauce for a while. And then stir about every, 5 minutes. Now, if you want to, and you want to let it go even longer, you can put the lid on, but you got to put the lid on at an angle so it lets some of the air out. If you don't, what's going to happen is you'll burn the sauce if you put the lid on all the way. Don't burn the sauce, okay? No one's burned the sauce in my house since Christmas 1992, when my mother stirred the sauce and put the lid on all the way. Not at the angle. Don't ruin Christmas. And then just stir. Get in there about every 5 minutes. Stir that shit up. You're going to want to do this for about an hour. Okay? Now, after about an hour of simmering, the meat should be cooked. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your thyme and oregano bunches and tie them up with butcher twine around the bottom so it'll hold all the stems together. Because if you can take the herbs off, what happens if you take them off and you cut them and they're in there too long, then they kind of start to get black. They start to look weird. And I like to have the flavor of them. And if they, some come off, that's cool. But I don't want like a bunch of greenery floating around in there. I want a nice, rich, red sauce. And so when you're done, all you have to do is just take them out. And you don't have to worry about any lumber left in your sauce. But you get the flavor. So after that hour, you put in your herbs, take the lid off. And now you're going to keep stirring it, but you're going to let it start to kind of thicken up. And go about another half an hour. After half an hour, it's pretty much done. But now you get these big pieces of meat in there. Get a bowl and some tongs and get the pieces of meat out of there. Take the meat, put it in a bowl, and then using like a couple of forks to handle it, because it's hot, kind of shredded the pork apart with the fork, and then, you have like shredded pork. So it's a meat sauce, but it's not like a thick like bolognese or, what most people think of when they think meat sauce with the ground meat. More of a shredded pork situation. Shred up all that pork real good, and then dump it back into the sauce. Stir it up a little bit more. Then get a spoon, taste what it's like before you've put in any salt and pepper, and then throw in your salt and pepper. I would, start with like tablespoon salt and pepper and see where you're at. You can always put more in, but you can't take it out. You can even start with less than that. And just go until it tastes right. But do it at the end so that way it doesn't reduce more after you've salted it, and then you're wondering, what it needs, and you go and you season it some more, and pretty soon you got a salt bomb. And that's it, man. And then just have it with the pasta of your choice. I like rigatoni or penne. Gemelli's cool if you can get your hands on that. Just go with old-fashioned spaghetti. Slurp it up. That's it. That's a basic pasta sauce with pork. Now, if you want to do the vegetarian version of that, do the exact same thing, just don't put any meat in it. Kind of a bastardized marinara. Not marinara. Don't say that shit. Marinara. So there you go, kids. Meat and motorcycles. A pasta sauce edition. As some people call it the gravy. We're gonna make some gravy. And people ask, what's the difference between tomato sauce and gravy? You call it gravy when you're from New Jersey. That's it. That's the only answer I got for you.